Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the One Nation of Gamers Circuit Feature Tournament number 3. My name is TJ. I am joined by That's Admirable, and we are about to jump into the semi-final matches of this feature tournament. We had a cool day earlier today. We actually got to broadcast the Open Finals that happened at the Geico Open at the Philly Comic-Con, which was really fun stuff. But now it's time to get into the meat and the potatoes of the One Nation of Gamers Circuit. Shoop for TerrenceM coming up first. That's Admirable. How'd you enjoy the break there?
It's very welcome after the weekend we've had so far. Broadcast about 700 million hours of Hearthstone this weekend, but always a pleasure to do so. It's one of the things I love doing is broadcasting Hearthstone, and especially here today. I mean, we've had probably 4 of the better players from this group end up advancing from this one. On Friday we saw Chalky and Terrence, a finalist of DreamHack Austin, advance through the day, and here in this one we saw Shoop and mine has just lost me at this point. It's been such a long weekend.
Shoop, Terrence, the Rat, and Chalky.
Shoop and the Rat. Shoop and the Rat going through this one. We'll say Chestu did play pretty darn well yesterday. Didn't quite make it out. Maybe partially on the back of some of his deck choices, but really been impressed with what I've seen from Chestu lately. I think I expect to see more of him in the future. And StrifeCrow coming with that crazy mage that he brought yesterday. Wasn't able to quite get the job done with it along the way. And Photap just not quite having the performance he needed that day. A little bit of a rough one for him. But yeah, seen some very interesting decks in this one so far. Just saying, actually even brought the same Shaman that Amnesia just got to the finals with, where he ended up dropping the set to Super JJ. But a lot of sweet Hearthstone's been going on, and some deck lists kind of creeping in, and some more solidified things happening in the metagame as well. Really interesting to see what the actual tools that are used to tackle the job has been so far.
Yeah, and a little bit of changes coming into today. Of course, we're going to be moving from best of 5s into best of 7s during the deck selection or the deck submitting process for these players. They had to submit a 5th deck for a best of 7 one-band conquest format. So they weren't able to show off that deck, but now this sort of adds an extra dynamic. These players are forced to maybe play a deck they're not as practiced with. They have to bring 5 decks to the tournament, and normal conquest is only 4. So definitely could throw a wrench in these plans. Shoop, Druid, Hunter, Shaman, and Warlock with that Warrior band away. TerrenceM is going to be throwing out Druid, Mage, Warlock, and Warrior with the Shaman band away. So couple differences here with Shaman and Hunter as opposed to Mage and Warrior. We saw some crazy stuff over the past couple days in this tournament. Control Warrior mirrors that came down to Golden Monkey battles, which is how they come down to. Lots of slow matchups. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the outcome of today. I know you're a big fan of Shoop. Give me your predictions going into this matchup. Now that we see the decks, now that we see the bands, now that the whole picture, taking into the performances, give me your predictions going in this first match.
Yeah, curious how the Reno Lock and the Druid are going to end up faring versus Freeze Mage. I know Druid lost a few tools to help handle the Freeze Mage that Terrence has in his lineup. I know that Hunter and the Shaman can put quite a bit of pressure on that, but at the same time can kind of get stifled. But being in Conquest, not the huge deal. Now, it's not one deck that sweeps you back. It's whether or not one of your decks gets sweeped. And sort of what I'm seeing here is I don't really feel like any of Shoop's spots really have total weak points to Terrence's, and kind of the same way around. Like, Terrence's weak point could just be Mage not performing, but that's about the only problem I really see here. The Warlocks, Shoop was playing that combo Warlock yesterday and navigated it very expertly. See if he can get the job done here. I mean, I could promise you the only thing he doesn't want to see is just have no action in the early game and not be able to get it done. If I could pick a weak point there, it probably would be the Reno Warlock, which is so many endgame cards. But I know Terrence tends to be a much more conservative player than some of the other guys out there. Really wants to restrict the board very heavily in what we saw in his sets the other day as well. Is going to play for board and is going to try to keep a stranglehold on what's going on. Kind of more so he doesn't get surprised by his opponent from what their hand range is, more so than trying to just push the action of the opponent and force them to have answers. Where Shoop kind of is adapting to the situation. So really curious to see how he ends up taking on this match. We're jumping into game number 1 right now. There's that Freeze Mage from Terrence and a copy of Urshock in Shoop's Shaman deck. We didn't see that yesterday.
Yeah, didn't see that pop up, but could be good in this matchup, especially with Doomsayer, can protect that early board. Sort of another answer to that. Also, even later in the game, when you've solidified your board already, it could be used to take out like a Loot Hoarder as an emergency way to deny card draw. But definitely going to have to see how this matchup's going to pan out. I have to favor Shoop a little bit, especially after seeing that Urshock. going to coin out this Totem Golem. He's got a decent early curve. No Tunnel Trog, but Totem Golem is strong in itself.
Yeah, this Earthshock actually may be enough to kind of keep him in this game. Overloaded for 1 mana here. Foregoing the development on the Argent Squire, not the hugest issue when you could just protect that Totem Golem. I mean, the Terrence was kind of relying on that to really put a stop to this. So it's going to be Arcane Intellect for him. He's got Torch in the coming turns, but this Golem's going to connect twice.
Yeah.
And Shoop's going to develop behind this. I mean, that Earthshock has been a major swing in this game. It's very rarely that you see a swing turn come this often, but an early Totem Golem followed by that Earthshock is going to shut down Terrence's open, and suddenly looking like he's relegated to digging for answers.
Yeah, Terrence thought that he was going to have a free turn 3, but now he's going to have to go for the over 2 turns kill this Totem Golem. He does have a pretty nice play lineup next turn with paying on the Totem Golem plus Novice Engineer, but this is going to delay his overall card draw. And like you said, developing behind this as well, it's going to be pretty tough for Terrence to gain his footing. And one thing about that Doomsayer being Earthshocked is that it's going to stick around to absorb some of these juggles, but just a 1 damage difference. We'll see if that 1 damage matters as this game goes on.
And working overtime there. Really like the Abusive Sergeant here from Shoop as well to get the extra damage on board. If there wasn't an extra minion here from Terrence, it would have been difficult for him to take care of this Abusive Sergeant in the coming turns. But second Doomsayer gets picked up, and Shoop, with that Ancestral Knowledge, I mean, that is another one of the key cards in this matchup, is being able to dig to your own burn spells to keep that pressure on Shaman high. On the Mage high. When they have those early game removal spells, you're going to need some big follow-up. And so with this Flame Tongue Totem here, we'll see if he wants to couple it with anything else, maybe just a totem. This is a lot of pressure coming in very quickly.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the plays are here. You can Ancestral Knowledge and go with a Flame Tongue to try and put that immediate pressure on. Or you can Totem up and Flame Tongue Totem as well. And I think that's going to be the play. He finds the Taunt Totem, so he realizes that I can just go phase, don't have to make a value trade here. Really values the damage as well, so probably even if he didn't roll Taunt Totem, would go for it just because that 8 damage is hard to pass up.
Yeah, sort of an effective freeze here from Terrence with a couple of these different spells. The Doomsayer can just act as buying life. He could drop the Ice Barrier. At some point, he's going to need to get this Ice Block developed and figure out where the burn comes from afterwards, but his next big stabilization is going to be that Flame Strike, and it looks like he has enough time to get there. But it will require a pretty significant investment into this board state. Yeah. As a result, for maybe foregoing some draws for a while until he can get to that point.
Pinging this off, I mean, you're only really taking 2 damage off the board, and 2 mana at this stage of the game is very crucial. But doesn't really have a choice, and develops that Ice Barrier. Going to try and stop some of this damage coming through. Shoop should have plenty of reload. That Ancestral Knowledge is going to get a lot of work done. He picks up a Doomhammer. He does need some consistent damage at this point because we're starting to get to those.
Oh wow, that's pretty much exactly what he's looking for here. And I imagine that I'm a little bit surprised at how slow he's choosing to take this. Healing Totem certainly welcome. That Ice Barrier from Terrence going to absorb some more of this. Maybe the Doomsayer gets traded off. Doomsayer going into your Flame Strike turn looks really appealing too, because one of 2 things happens. Either your opponent clears the Doomsayer and you bought yourself a lot of life, or your opponent goes face, the Doomsayer goes off, and you're free to draw cards and get more secrets down after that. This is looking... I mean, this is a real game that's shaping up, and it's going to be awfully close.
Yeah. Shoop's still 2 turns away from that Doomhammer. He won't be able to equip that and start hammering away next turn. But once he does, this game's going to be getting pretty close. And TerrenceM automatically picks up that Frostbolt. And, I mean, this might be his chance to... I was going to say try and get a Doomsayer to stick, but...
Peeling 4 damage off the board there looks really good. Just going to ping here, and this will be the Doomsayer, so this is likely a spot where Shoop has to ignore this, which is going to give Terrence that open turn for Arcane Intellect and Ice Block he's been looking for. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, only 11 damage. And not really much he can do. That overload from that Ancestral Knowledge maybe hurting him a little bit. If he had gone for Totem Golem there instead of that Ancestral Knowledge, did he pick up the Totem? He picked up the Totem Golem off the draw though. Is that right?
He picked it up off the initial draw from that turn. Yeah. So that could have been an option over Ancestral Knowledge.
Yeah, that would have given him Doomhammer this turn. And that's really the two things that are so good against Doomsayer, is either playing weapons to deal the damage from your hero so it stays alive to that Doomsayer, or just drawing cards in the face of that Doomsayer. Those are really the two major power turns you get. And here, an example of why you want to be doing those two things, Shoop can basically do nothing else.
Yeah. And this is Terrence's window of opportunity to get back into this game. Complete initiative onto the board.
Even picks up Ice Lance. So now maybe a tiny bit of damage getting picked up. Fireball and Pyroblast. Honestly, if Shoop can't pop this Ice Block in the next turn or two, which he definitely can, it's gonna be in kind of a bad spot. I mean, I'm trying to find a way that he doesn't put this Doomhammer on board, and I'm just not seeing it. It is so good here. Even gonna go for the Rockbiter. Yeah, but I like this play a lot. This is going to put Terrence in a position where he needs to take care of face. And that's kind of the hard one to do. He just used a Frostbolt. Like, if he puts an Ice Lance in that as well, it looks like Alexstrasza may even be aimed for himself, and that means 30 damage is going to have to be found from hand.
Yeah.
You know, maybe from the Alexstrasza connecting as well, but it's still a lot of damage to make up.
Yeah, he's going to have to Ice Lance face, ping this off, put the Blood Mage on the board, and hope to cycle into that second ice block. I mean, even then, it's going to be tough.
Can even pop the block at one and keep something behind to deal with this. This is fantastic for Shoop. I mean, at this point, I think he's just free to load the board.
Yeah.
If your opponent flame strikes and you pop the block, they're just dead.
All right, well, he's going for it.
Yeah, I mean, not much of a surprise, obviously. And I'm thinking that Feral Spirits is probably going to be the best one behind this. Again, force the action from your opponent. Terrence is going to have a lot to live through this. And I don't know if it's even possible.
He's going to have two draws, because he's going to get the innate draw, plus he can trade in this Blood Mage Thalanos. So Emperor Thorsan is completely inconsequential at this stage. And
that's not a nice block. Yeah, he has to Alexstrasza himself. And even in that, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it's only 13 damage. But that'll put him to 2, and that's 15.
All right. Yep, 8, 10, 15. Shoop's going to count it up, realize he's got the lethal, and Shoop's going to take game number 1 with the aggressive Shaman against this Freeze Mage from TerrenceM. He's got to be feeling pretty good here.
Yeah, I mean, that choice of Urshock playing a huge role in this game.
Urshock's a card that a lot of players have been saying is not that great at the moment. I feel like it's a dead card in so many matchups, or even in the hand of so many matchups where it's good. I mean, it's a very situational card altogether. So,
yeah, I mean, the big roles I see for that are obviously picking up Argent Squire, Possessed Villager, maybe bringing down a Tunnel Trogger, a Darkshire Councilman to reality, and then of course shutting off the Doomsayer. You know, those can be big factors. Having that as a one of in your deck, it will kind of hurt sometimes when you draw it in the late game and you need a real damage spell.
Yeah.
In this spot, I think it's totally great.
Yeah. So Shoop still has Hunter, Warlock, Druid remaining. Keep in mind, we predicted Zoo Warlock yesterday, but Shoop actually has that combo Reno Warlock. So that could be an interesting choice as we move forward into this match. It doesn't line up well against some decks, but